Okay, so today's lesson is lesson 91, identifying zeros, extreme values, and symmetry. We've already talked about these concepts. Now we're going to use what we did yesterday where we put them in a different form using Xbox or complete the square to find an equivalent form. You have to use those equivalent forms to easily find the answer, okay? Because the answers are easily found if you know how to get there, okay? So here are the steps for today. Factor or complete the square to make an equivalent equation. Then you're going to identify zeros. When we identify zeros, the easiest way to identify zeros is to use Xbox. Okay. When you want to identify extreme values, you want to use complete the square. And then if you want to also find the line of symmetry, you also want to complete the square. Okay. So we have to use both values. So when they give you an original equation, it's kind of hard to deal with. Instead of doing all this work, you can make an equivalent equation quickly and find the answers that you're looking for. So here we go. Let me do numbers 1 and 2. It says identify the zeros, extreme values, and axis of symmetry. Remember, the zeros is where they cross the x-axis, where the line crosses the x-axis. So extreme value is where there's like the vertex, and then the axis of symmetry, if I drew a graph, it's the line that's down the center, okay? So, which has to deal with the vertex. Okay, so number 1, find the zeros first. To find zeros, you always use Xbox. Eight times C is 8. B is 6. What times what is going to be equal to 8 but adds up to 6? 4 and 2. Okay. So now I'm going to rewrite this as the equivalent form or equivalent equation. It's going to be n plus 4 times n plus 2 is all equal to y. Okay, when that's the case, when we want to find the zeros, look at how easy it is. We just take each of these, we write n is equal to negative 4 and n is equal to negative 2. You just do the opposite, you see? Y'all see what I just did? So these are the zeros, okay? Again, we use the zero product property to find that. So that's the first part, yep.
Would it have to be in that order? Could it be 1 over 2 and then 1 over 4?
Yeah, that doesn't matter. That's called the commutative property. We're already assuming that. So yeah. Doesn't matter what order it is. Okay. Then when we want to find the extreme values and axis of symmetry, we have to find what the vertex is. In order to do that, we have to use the complete the square method. So we have n squared plus 6n plus 8 is equal to y. So we're going to subtract 8 on both sides. Now today we have this thing called y there, but it'll be okay. N squared plus 6n is equal to y minus 8. Okay. Then we look at this middle term. What's half of 6? 3. 3 squared is 9, so we're going to add 9 here and add 9 here. When I do that, we get n plus 3 squared is equal to y plus 1, right? Because negative 8 plus 9 is 1. And then we're going to subtract 1 on both sides because I want y by itself. So it's going to be n plus 3 squared minus 1 is equal to y. Okay? This is an equivalent form, okay, from yesterday. So why is this important? Because it gives us our center, our vertex, remember? And it also tells us what a is. So there's no number in the front here, so we know that there's a 1 there. It's an imaginary 1 way down there. So we know it opens up. Okay, so if it opens up, that's good to know. And then these two numbers right here represent where the vertex is. This 3 is a positive 3, so our vertex will be at negative 3. And then there's a negative 1 right here, so we put negative 1. So we do the opposite of this number to find the vertex, and the opposite here to find the y, or the exact number. So negative 3, negative 1 is the vertex here. Okay, meaning that's where it is and opens up. So it's asking us for extreme values. Since it opens up, is there a minimum or a maximum? Minimum. So it's got a minimum where you take the y value of negative 1. So you'd say y is equal to negative 1. And then we said the axis of symmetry is x is equal to negative 3. That's it. Okay, I've taught you all these concepts before, but now we're bringing it all together, okay? Yes.
How'd you get 9?
Here, from yesterday, what's half of 6?
3.
3 squared is?
9.
Okay. Does that make sense, everyone? Raise your hand if you vaguely remember doing this stuff. Okay, good. So the whole goal of today was we're not learning any new skills, right? We've already learned every skill we need to know really for Algebra 1. So the goal for today is using different methods, the concepts of factoring and complete the square to find our zeros, our extreme, a minimum, or maximum, and our axis of symmetry. That's all we're doing today. Okay? Does that make sense? That's what I'd like you to do right now. Let's have 2 solo ones. Actually, we have to do number 2 still. We haven't even got number 2. Wow. I got too excited. Okay, number 2. One more time. Watch me do number 2. Okay? Number 2, same thing. We want to find out what are our answers going to be, or zeros. So we got 1 and 1 are A. A times C is 64. B is negative 16. So what times what is equal to 64 but adds up to negative 16? Negative 8 and negative 8, right? So now we're going to rewrite this as k minus 8 times k minus 8 is equal to 0. So we have 2 of the same answer, right? We're going to go k minus 8 is equal to 0, and k minus 8 is equal to 0. Therefore, k is equal to 8, and k is equal to 8, right? So we have the same answer twice. So how many answers do we really have? 1 answer, right? Then we need to find out is it a minimum or maximum, and where is it, and also what's the axis of symmetry. So we take the original problem. We got k squared minus 16k plus 64 is equal to y. Subtract 64. We got k squared minus 16k is equal to y minus 64. Take half of negative 16. What's half of negative 16? Negative 8. Negative 8 squared is 64. So we got 64 here, and add 64 here. Look at that. This left side becomes k minus 8 squared. This right side becomes, what's negative 64 plus 64? 0, right? But we don't want the 0 on this side. We want it over here, right? So we're going to add 0. Even though I'm going to add 0 to both sides, it doesn't change anything. It's going to be k minus 8 squared plus 0 is equal to y. Okay, this is an equivalent equation. Remember yesterday? So now we want to figure out what's the vertex. Well, is it open up or down? What's the number in front of our k plus 8? It's a 1. So our a is 1, right? So since our a is 1, it opens up. We should already know that. And our vertex, if we know that it opens up, our vertex is going to be at 8, 0. Right? So since it opens up, do we have a minimum or a maximum again? Minimum, right? It means it's going to go as low as k equal to 8. Or I'm sorry, k equal to 0, and then our axis of symmetry is, or AOS is going to be y is equal to, oh wait, it's not supposed to be k is equal to 0. I'm going to fix this. Y is equal to 0, and our axis of symmetry is k is equal to 8. Okay? These are your answers here. Okay? So, again, we're taking a lot of concepts today, bringing them together. You need to figure out how to get zeros, which we use Xbox to get zeros. How do we do extreme values, such as minimum or maximum, or axis of symmetry? You have to do complete the square. Okay? A lot of work for one problem. Right? It's like we're doing 2 problems in one again, right? So tonight's homework, how many problems do you think we're going to give you?
4. 8.
8. Good guess. 2 is a little too low. That's why we don't use 2, because it's too low. Okay, anyways. Talk to your neighbor. Today's Tuesday, so let's have twos tell the ones about number 1. One tell twos about number 2. So, number 3, let's do this one. Let's work it out.
On iPads or no?
Sure. You're going to do a lot of the work on your paper and then put your answers on your iPads. Okay, so write this down, please. We got n squared minus 12n plus 35 equals to y. Okay, to find the zeros, what do you have to use? X box or complete the square? X box.
Yeah.
Okay, what's A equal to? A times C. B. What times was equal to 35 but adds up to negative 12?
5 and 7.
Nope.
Negative.
Negative what?
Negative 5 and negative 7.
Good, there you go. Totally different numbers. Okay, box these. Okay, so now we're going to rewrite this as n minus 5 in its own parentheses times n minus 7 in its own parentheses is equal to y. Okay, what are my two answers then? N equals 5 and n equals 7, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, now are we done?
No.
No, now we have to find the extreme values. How do we find extreme values? Complete the square, that's right. So now let's rewrite the equation. We got n squared minus 12n plus 35 is equal to y. So how do we complete the square? What should I do first? Subtract 35 on both sides. So we got n squared minus 12n is equal to y minus 35. Okay? What's half of negative 12?
6.
Negative 6 squared is
36.
positive 36. Okay? The left side becomes what? N minus 6 squared, which is equal to negative 35 plus 36 is positive 1. Are we done? No, we have to subtract 1 on both sides still, so we're going to have n minus 6 squared minus 1 is equal, or minus 1 is equal to y. Okay, that's it. Now, on this part, we have to now think about does it open up or down? What's a equal to here? What is it? 1, right? So, opens up. So does it have a minimum or a maximum? It has a minimum. Okay. So what is the vertex? V is what? What's the number next to the letter? 6. And it says minus 6, but we know it's going to be plus 6. And then what's the number outside of the parentheses? Minus what? Minus 1. Okay. So that's our vertex, 6, negative 1. Okay, so since we know it opens up, there's going to be a minimum at y is equal to negative 1. And we know that there's going to be an axis of symmetry at, in this case, the letter we're using is n, so it's n is equal to 6. That's it. A lot of work for one of them, right? Okay. The reason why we're doing a lot at once is because we already know all these skills. You should already know how to do all of this, okay? So let's have you do number 4. The answers that I want for number 4 is I want to know what are your solutions, which is v is equal to what, and then minimum and axis of symmetry. That's what I want, those 3 pieces of information. Okay, ready, go. And then I'll work it out. This one. What?
4, negative 2.
What is it?
Negative 4, negative 2.
Okay, do you agree with them? V is equal to 4 and V is equal to negative 2. Raise your hand if you agree. That's correct. Okay, good. Good. Now, what about when we complete the square? What's my equivalent equation going to be? Someone. Yeah.
B plus 3 squared negative 1 log 1.
Okay, raise your hand if you agree. Yep, that's right. Okay. What's A equal to, everyone? Opens up or down? Vertex. What's the vertex then?
-3 and -1.
Good. -3, -1. Is that what's your axis of symmetry? AOS is. I'll do a different order this time.
-3.
B is equal to -3, and then what's your minimum or maximum again? Minimum. Where is it at?
Equals -1.
Good. That's it. That's it. So these are the pieces of information I want from today, okay? So you use equivalent equations, right? We use equivalent equations to find the answer quickly, okay? You have to know how to work the numbers. Math is all about working it, okay? You got to work it, right? Honestly, that's what it is. It's about you taking the numbers and working them for your benefit, because all of these numbers represent something for you. So sometimes life is messy like this original problem, okay? You have to know how to use tools like Xbox or use a method like complete the square to manipulate and work it so that you know how to get the answers, right? So math, I'll just tell you, well, I wasn't very good at math, and when I was your age I was struggling through it, and then one day it clicked and I learned how to just seek that understanding and knowledge, and then it just started making sense, and I was working it, and then I realized it's there for my benefit. It's not there to be owned, okay? That concludes